Hey guys, today we're going to be putting together the Robocycle 3 and going over the step-by-step instructions on how to get it together and get it on the road. Now first things first, you're going to want to get the box flat on its side really gently, and with a very short box cutter, open up the outer box. Now keep in mind, the only box with double boxing is on the Robocycle 3. Make sure once again that your blade is super short as to not damage any of the internal components of the box. Now once you open up the box and get a good visual inspection, grab a pair of wire cutters and cut all the zip ties off each component. Just be careful as to not damage any of the internals as you do this. Now with another person to help you out, go ahead and lift up the bike on its rear wheel and front shocks. This way you'll be able to get to the rest of the zip ties and cut them all off the bike. At this point you'll notice that the front handlebars that are zip tied on are attached and all the wires are ready to go. All you have to do is jiggle in the front handlebars. If that doesn't work, then just loosen up a couple bolts and it'll slide right in. You'll also see a box, and inside that box we have a couple of items. One is your pedals, number two is your foot pegs, then you have your tool kit and your charger. Now selecting the proper tool, use the right sized Allen key to go ahead and tighten up those front handlebars into place on both sides. Now you're going to want to make sure that this is nice and firm as to make sure that you have some good grip and no slide action on your handlebars. Once you finish tightening up the front handlebars, you're going to want to swing the bike all the way around upside down. Just make sure that the ground is covered or you're using a piece of cardboard so that you don't scratch up the screen, handlebars, or the seat. As you unwrap the front fender, you're going to see that two of the teeth that are connected to the bike have shifted a bit from the shipping. Sometimes you may want to give them a squeeze for a tighter fit onto the actual bike. Now remove the front bolt that's secured onto the bike and you'll be able to fit the front fender right on. Once you removed all the foam and tape off the front suspension, it's now time to go ahead and start the installation on your front motor. Now the first step in mounting the front motor is to remove the two small safety bolts on the side of the motor mounts. You're going to want to do this and store them for later because we're going to go back to using them. To get the motor ready, you're going to want to remove the two main bolts on both sides to make sure that you can go ahead and get a nice fit onto the bicycle. You may notice in between the two brake pads on your bike, you have a little stopper that's just there for shipping. You're going to want to remove that so that you can go ahead and slide your disc brakes straight in when you do install the motor. Now, as you insert your front motor into the proper slot, just make sure that you are very gently inserting the brake disc into the caliper. Once you have a nice snug fit, you're going to want to take the safety fail front pin and insert it with the two little ears facing up if the bike is upside down. And then you're going to want to take those bolts from earlier and tighten them right back in. Make sure that this is as tight as possible. Once you've finished up tightening the side with the calipers, you're going to want to repeat the exact same process on the side where the motor wire is. And just keep in mind, you're going to want to make sure that that wire is sticking straight up from the wheel if your bike is upside down. Now that you've tightened both sides, you can take both of the main bolts that go onto the front wheels and give it a nice roll straight onto the wheels. You can also use the wrench provided in the toolkit to go ahead and make sure that's nice and tight. Once you finish up tightening those main front bolts, it's time to connect your motor to power. Without this connection, your front motor is not going to have any power. Make sure it's nice and tight. Now this step is totally optional, and this is just to install the rear pegs. Now the rear pegs are great if you are riding with a passenger or just for your own comfort. Go ahead and grab the right size Allen key, loosen up the main bolts, and go ahead and install them back in with the foot pegs. You can get the right back onto its wheels now and go ahead and install the front headlights on the Robocycle 3. You're going to see two slots for the right size screws. Go ahead and screw those screws in nice and firm and make sure the headlights adjusted to light up the road in front of you. Now it's time to plug in the headlight for power. Make sure that the pins are lined up as to not bend any of the pins for the inside. And once it's nice and snug, you can go ahead and tuck that away. We always recommend tightening up the front handlebars and any other bolts that may be loose with the right size Allen key around the bike. This is to make sure that when you're riding around, nothing is too loose and you have a nice safe ride. Now you can remove the keys, and you're going to notice on the Robocycle 3 you're going to have a set for the front and a set for the rear. Go ahead and install that front battery, lock it in, and power it on. Before turning the bike on with the power button, go ahead and play with all the switches just to make sure everything is functional and fully working. Now you can power on your bike for the first time and test that everything is working. On your left hand side you have your motor select. You can switch between rear wheel drive, all wheel drive in the center, and to the right you have the front wheel drive. Pressing the plus and minus button will allow you to adjust the pedal assist levels. You have 5 levels of pedal assist. And holding the plus button turns on the headlight. Now holding it once more turns off the headlights. And that ends the step-by-step tutorial on how to build your Robocycle 3. For safe riding, we recommend you check your bolts every ride and go out there and have fun.